Hi, I'm Michael Druckman, founder of Trident 4, and this is Trident Talks, a series where we bring you diverse voices from all over Ukraine who are leading the country's recovery across all sectors. Today, I'm speaking with Deputy from the Mariupol City Council, Olga Pikula, about specifically how international partners can engage and plug into Ukraine's accelerating sustainable development landscape, as well as present the perspectives of Ukraine's temporarily occupied cities and the types of reconstruction efforts ongoing there. Enjoy. I'm very proud today to introduce a great friend and colleague of mine for many, many years from the great city of Mariupol, Miss Olga Pikula, member of the Mariupol City Council, to talk today about what more we can be doing to support Ukrainian frontline cities. What does reconstruction look like there even right now? What are the priorities? And we're going to talk a bit more specifically about what can be done right now for both international investors and partners. So welcome, Olga. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. It's really nice to see you and really great to have this important conversation for Ukraine. Thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely. I think it's especially important at this time, to really put the focus back on Ukraine's frontline cities. And of course, we're all thinking about what happens the day after victory or some type of sustainable ceasefire that is acceptable to Ukraine. But even right now, the work that cities that are currently under occupation with their local elected governments are doing to support their citizens. And so maybe if we could just talk a bit about what the frontline investment strategies that you've been working on and the cities in exile program. Mariupol City Council continues working while in exile, delivering services, planning recovery. From your perspective, what can international investors do right now, particularly in sectors like social services, digital governance, housing, and even early infrastructure planning?
Okay, just to give a short discourse, so understanding of how we are operating now in exile. So, and we always put Mariupol City Council as an example and as a benchmark, because we are literally operating in exile as a city, not just like a municipality team. Because we are continuing, even despite, unfortunately, our city is temporarily, and we always emphasize is temporarily occupied. So we continue to provide these services to our displaced Mariupol citizens all around Ukraine. And for today, in 22 Ukrainian cities, we have opened 42 comprehensive support centers, which provide support to 197,000 Mariupol displaced people in Ukraine, which equals to around 67,000 families on the daily basis. So it's the most important job which we are doing. And at the same time, we understand, and I presume you already know about it because I have been always updating our international partners and good friends about how we are moving. But for our audience to be more deeply, to have an opportunity to deeply dive into this topic. So we have already dealt with the preparation plans and strategies, how to rebuild Mariupol after its revitalization when there is again the Ukrainian flag over my city. And we have already prepared the fast recovery plan, so we know how we are going. The next day after our victory, we are going to revitalize our city, as well as the full 20 years strategy of urban development and working also on the economical strategy, because unfortunately, the economy of Ukraine has been completely destroyed. And why we always emphasize and point out that we are not just relocated with as a municipality, but as a community. What it gives us, it gives an opportunity to talk about to our people and to understand their needs today in exile and in displacement. And the third and the most important and the biggest challenge, not only for Mariupol municipality and for other occupied communities like us, but the greatest challenge for Ukraine is how to deal with the housing opportunities for the displaced people in Ukraine. Because when we talk about the displacement, we talk about the numbers of around 4.7 million internally displaced people, which equals the homeless people, in fact. And we realized if we roughly try to put it into the families, it's around 2 million families. Can you imagine this challenge? 2 million housing units to provide. So Europe has never seen this challenge since the Second World War. And we understand that the response should be quick because today we are fighting, first of all, to preserve our human capital, to preserve our people, to support them here in Ukraine. But secondly, it will be one of the crucial points how we are going to bring our people back to Ukraine to revitalize our economy, because the country, the territory without people, it's pointless, it's useless, it has no value. So this is the challenge we are working with, and we started working with this 2 years ago. Started with, first of all, smart benchmark projects, because social housing in Ukraine, it's almost zero, as well as affordable housing. So we started working with this 2 years ago with renovation projects in Dnipro, providing the housing opportunities to the families who have the dire need. And gradually, with the support in this project of the French government and with the trust of the French government, we started working with bigger renovation projects in Ukraine. So we have got housing opportunities in Dnipro and in Kiev. And now the next year, we already started building the first newly built social and affordable housing opportunities, realizing these projects in Vila Tserkva. It's in Kiev region. So we are gradually moving, and we have studied in the last year, we have been studying really thoroughly and really deeply the experience of other cities, of other countries all around Europe and beyond, because what Europe has been dealing with for over 70 years already. We have to obtain this super quickly, this knowledge and this experiences, all the advantages, disadvantages, and to consider what model is going to be more comfortable and more applicable for Ukraine. So we have worked out the strategy and the concept of the social affordable housing in Ukraine, working now on the PPP model for that. So on next year, we are realizing the first project, which is going to provide over 1,000 people, internally displaced people from Mariupol, with new housing, social and affordable housing opportunities. So it's talking about the challenges for the communities like Mariupol, which are under occupation, but which have been relocated with their people. And we are just to wrap up a little bit here. So we are sharing this experience already with other communities who have got the same challenges within the Association of Ukrainian Cities. I presume you know this association really well, and you have been cooperating with it really a lot. And it's our sustainable partner, reliable partner. We have got the section of the development of temporarily occupied and deoccupied territories, which is already so has united over 400 other communities, where the DMA of Mariupol City, Vadim Boychenko, is the head of this section. And we have already issued the Community Recovery Academy, the expertise and knowledge exchange opportunities, providing all of this expertise and this experience which we have accumulated as Mariupol, deeply profound, deeply expertise, deeply professional, and we are providing to other communities. And what's the most interesting, that all of these strategic development plans, not only communities which are temporarily occupied or got already deoccupied are using, but also other communities all around Ukraine, because this is the opportunity to develop your city or your community. And this is an opportunity to give better opportunities for your and chances and conditions for your people and to develop. That's it. So that's what we are doing as a community in exile.
I mean, you're doing more than just servicing your community. You have a perspective on, again, as you're describing, communities across Ukraine, both on the front line and those that have been impacted by the war's economic effects far from the front line. You mentioned France stepping in. Can you maybe give some other examples of, what are the types of international partners or partnerships you've seen that are successful, that are working, that maybe some of the folks watching right now wouldn't be aware of? And how can investors or those interested parties, how can they partner with those successful initiatives? What are the ways that they can engage?
So to start with the case of Mariupol, and then moving further to how the potential investors could find the solid partners within the Ukrainian local or regional authorities. So Mariupol, before the full-scale invasion, since 2015, we had been really rapidly developing, and we really did manage to become a new Ukrainian Singapore. Like even the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, was saying about the effect of Mariupol. 2 years in a row, we were the most transparent city in Ukraine before the full-scale invasion, according to the Transparency International ratings. And starting in 2015, from the almost the last place on this rating chart, and we had been really doing really a lot to obtain the most important and efficient thing for development and for the investment attraction. It's trust. we were transparent, we were trustworthy, and we were reliable. And we had a really solid partnership with the French government before the full-scale invasion, which after the full-scale invasion grew into the new partnership opportunities. So I think if we put it into the experience of other cities, I presume it's a great opportunity, and it would be really nice for the potential investors studying the investment opportunities within Ukraine to study the local or regional profiles with good trustworthy reputation. Plus, when we talk about the development opportunities, to see how they have been economically developing in the last time, what strategies, how quality works out and develops strategies of the development and of the investment opportunities they have got on their local or regional levels, and in this way to choose. I presume that associations, in this case, again, like Association of Ukrainian Cities, would be a good partner because they're already uniting over 1,700, if more communities within them, and they can, yeah, huge, and they've been working in Ukraine for over 30 years, and they definitely have an experience and can be good, to be really helpful here, to give good advice, and plus in such partnership, like, because again, this will develop, the investment opportunities will depend on, first of all, how well you can partnership with this OZ municipality or the regional authorities representative. Secondly, how well it's combines and aligns with your business sphere. So again, like you can geographically choose and pick up the more convenient zone for you. And third, of course, it would be really nice to have also the financial consultancy firm here implemented as a third pillar, who could also help and support you to develop this partnership and investment development plan for this very project. So to work like three pillars.
Mhm.
Yes, but pre-study should be definitely done, because in general, Ukraine is moving really forward. To become, like a solid player, and to attract as many investment opportunities as possible, especially within the further Ukraine reconstruction process and EU accession process, both on national level, regional level, and on local level. But still, like in this, like trying to make it more coherent, but still you have to pick up your own, let's say, so to find your own stage here where you would play the best, to find your pitch where your team, your investment team would get the best.
I mean, you bring up a couple of good points. I have a couple of things I'm curious to get your thoughts on around that. One, you mentioned the Association of Ukrainian Cities, which is a fantastic platform of experts that they do know what's happening in the country in terms of the needs of different cities and what's working and where good partners are. And I think that's important for international partners to understand. You don't have to necessarily just land in Ukraine and walk around trying to figure out what might work. There are places of expertise. And so I'm glad you brought them up. That's a great place to start, because they do know what local needs are. They know who's already on the ground working. They know what partners are there. But also on that note, in terms of the financing, I know you've talked a lot about and worked a lot and worked hard to look at best practices with housing in particular. Have you seen anything around the public-private partnership programs? We know we have a new law in the country on this, but in terms of some of the financing of some of these projects, what are you seeing, or what's working?
So for now, what we can see, it's for now within the sphere of public and private partnership, the most working approach is the approach of the establishing really reliable relationship with this or that partner or municipality or regional authorities. And it's the big challenge for Ukraine, which I'm also as a student of the Harvard course of the Sustainable of Recovery of Ukraine. So we are working now on this challenge because we understand that the cities and in general, the local, the regional, the national authorities, we have already learned, and we are working really hard on that, how to develop in general, the strategies of developing of our territories, the investment strategies, but PPP is still a challenge because we have to work with it like both on reform level, so and working with our legislative system to adapt it more to these challenges, to quickly respond to them and to reduce and to cut down the red tape, let's call it so, the bureaucracy measures and so on and so forth. And we are still searching for the working models for that. And it's also an opportunity because the potential investors, they can come and they can offer also the working models to Ukraine, and we can adapt because we are really in search, like we are now really developing country in this sense, so developing new mechanism, and we are open to different initiatives which can be also negotiated and which can be initiated to the national level as well, because we have got as Ukraine on all the levels, again, local, regional and national, we have only one goal which unites us, all of us. We want to win, we want to develop and reconstruct our country as fast as possible and to become sustainable and long-term partner for other democracy civilized world, and of course to become the member of the EU family.
Absolutely, and this is going to happen. And I'm glad that we're talking about some of these practical considerations and steps along that path. You had mentioned your experience studying at Harvard, in particularly in the sustainable development sector. What types of climate aligned infrastructure projects should international investors be watching? Is it the district heating, decentralized energy grids, green corridors, stormwater systems? We saw the terrible tragedy in Odessa late summer. Air quality, I know that was historically a big issue in Mariupol. What are some of the sectors that you see posing good opportunities?
As you know, Ukraine is a really big country. We are not as big as the USA, yes, and we don't need to become bigger, but still we are quite big as a European player, talking geographically. And we understand that geographically, we have got also different challenges as well. So when we talk about the ecology and energy development and challenges as well. So I consider that what, from my perspective, all the ways can be also considered here. And on this very level, again, when we are just at the beginning of this path, and when we talk about the renewable energy as well, so the green transition, so it would be really much important for the prospective partners to come and together with different types of authorities, again, depending on what scale of business is going to come and investment going to come to Ukraine, where geographically you're going to be located, and what problems and challenges you're going to help to solve to us, to our municipalities and to our regions and to our country in general. So we can together work out the expertise, again, with several pillars, attracting and searching for the solutions, for the best ones for this very challenge and for this very geographical region, let's call it like that. We're absolutely open here, and I wouldn't say that one solution would work perfectly. So starting with the fact that some, like, we are still at war, yeah, and the challenges of the communities which are at the front line and which are far from the front line, they're absolutely different, and it's normal. The same, like geographically, challenges are also different from Ukraine, and depending on the way this region or this municipalities they are developed, it also depends on that. So a lot of factors. That is why different approaches can be used, and that's why it's a wide range of the opportunities for different sectors of the investors to come into Ukraine and to invest and to develop their business here and to help us to develop Ukraine.
And on that, a big challenge that you mentioned, and it's something that really hasn't gotten enough attention, but it's another challenge Ukraine has, and that's returning labor force after victory. Not just looking at economic development, but people coming home and what type of jobs are there going to be, what type of future investments, what does the economy look like, the new economy in so many Ukrainian cities. And for Mariupol, in particular, before the full-scale invasion, a city known for its steel production, its port. I think everyone now knows the heroes of Azovstal. But what does the future local economy of Mariupol and that region look like? You mentioned that that your team and Mayor Boychenko, everyone's put together work on getting a plan for the day after to get to work. Can you talk a bit about what some of those plans look like and how you're envisioning that future local economy?
Of course. So, but before we start diving into the topic of economy, we need to understand when we talk about return of the workforce, so we prefer to call it human capital, so our people. And when we say the name, call it, call us, call ourselves people, we understand that everything is going to be built around our people. So it should be human centered. And to provide the economical opportunities, in addition to this, we have to provide the other opportunities to the people, especially those ones who are coming back from the European and beyond countries who have already got used to the high level services and high level developed social infrastructure. And we understand that we need to compete here for our people. So in addition to providing housing opportunities, so first it's safety opportunities, housing opportunities, and economical opportunities. So we have to provide also other social infrastructure. So we have to provide good quality, comfortable, inspiring cities, which will be built around the people needs, where people will feel safe, will feel comfortable, can develop their children, can grow, can get good quality education, good quality development, good quality medicine. So, and other additional cultural development and other opportunities. So it's about building new cities centered and where in the center is the human. Secondly, this is economy. And for Mariupol, for example, in particular, when we talk about it, it's still a challenge. We are still working it out because we understand that in the model, the two steel plants, which were one of them was over 100 years, so really old productions, which caused a lot of troubles in addition to economical opportunities, caused a lot of troubles in terms of the ecology, because when they were built, nobody was thinking honestly about the ecology and about the well-being and health of the people. And we understand that in these forms, they cannot exist anymore. It's going to be, when we talk about production, it's going to be high level, digitalized and green ecological production. So we are thinking on that, and it's a great challenge because we have to make this model profitable for the potential investors to contribute. Secondly, we realize that definitely should be the new economy. Even before the full-scale invasion, we could already understand, and we studied a lot the experience of Pittsburgh, for example, and we didn't want to become one day with economical crisis at Pittsburgh, with great scale of unemployment and solving the problems at this very moment. So we wanted to get prepared. That's why we started and very effectively started implementing the economy diversification strategy, especially focusing on micro, small, and medium-sized businesses development in Mariupol, plus IT sector. We did manage to, we had 2 IT hubs, and we were very, very effectively and rapidly developing this sector. So we definitely understand that Mariupol is going to be a new city of new opportunities, with new philosophy and with new economy. So that's what we are going to build. And I think that it's a challenge not only for the cities which are going to be rebuilt completely, like 50% of Mariupol doesn't exist anymore. If you talk about infrastructure, 90% is damaged. When you see the news from the Russian propaganda, so sorry, but having destroyed thousands of buildings, so and haven't built just like a couple of tents. So it's nothing like you understand, and for years. So if they continue like that, they'll be building literally for hundreds of years, and they will never develop the city as it was before the full-scale invasion. Not to mention the people, civilians, thousands of civilians who they killed. So we realized that alongside with Mariupol city, the other cities, even which have not been so much damaged, thank God, like Mariupol, and not so much affected by war, but still it's a challenge because people will want to come back to new cities with new economical opportunities and with new social infrastructure, let's call it like generally opportunities in general. And it's also to the point, it's also a good opportunity for the investors, again, in a tight collaboration with the local regional authorities, with corresponding associations, and to work out the plan for this very region, because displaced people, they're not all going to come back to the cities where they like belonged before the full-scale invasion. It's also an opportunity to create new economical opportunities for these people to work, to go into the projects again of the social affordable housing, plus into so-called employment housing opportunities, where the housing opportunities are created to work for and to provide the human capital, the workforce, for the industrial parks, for example, firms and manufacturers of productions which are present there. So it's really, really a lot. And, like in general, this unfortunately complicated, terrible, but pivotal moment in Ukraine, it's a
Mhm.
great opportunity for the investors to come and to really to start cooperating and building a long-term strategy. So starting from now, and to be not only to contribute and to obtain the long-term high profit incomes in the future, but also to obtain already today the good image and good profile of the reputation of the highly social impact organization, business, and investors, because you'll be really creating new opportunities and building new Ukraine together with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and you listed the challenges that before that, but you've also said that no city can overcome such challenges alone. And so, just to maybe end with your thoughts on the temporarily occupied cities and regions, how can we keep them, in your opinion, in the international spotlight? What can global partners from EU institutions, multilateral financial institutions, the private sector, what can they do right now to keep this maintaining momentum to ensure accountability and keep not just Mariupol, but those cities along Ukraine's front lines that have been impacted by Russia's invasion back in the center of international attention?
First of all, its visibility is really important because unfortunately it's almost 4 years since the full-scale invasion, and it's in general 11 years of war, and everyone is tired of war and they understand it. Everyone continues just to live. And we also understand that very often American citizens, as well as all around the world, they're just tired. They prefer to switch to another kind of news,
Mhm.
but unfortunately we can't switch the war in Ukraine. It's our daily and reality, and keeping it so again on agenda. And what you are doing, Michael, with together with your team, it's really much important. And watching and seeing Ukraine from different perspectives, and it's important that we are not only talking now about the war, about this all atrocities and military crimes which is Russia committing every day in Ukraine, and which it committed in occupied Mariupol and continuing to commit. So to talk about the perspectives of the future. So we understand that hopefully earlier or later, so the war will finish, and we hope that it's going to be the just peace and with the victory not only of Ukraine but the whole democracy, civilized world, because we are fighting for the global peace now. And this very moment, the Ukraine will start to rebuild. And it's nice that we are talking about the future of Ukraine and how important it's already to contribute to this future today, which will be again first profitable financially, because when we talk about the investors, of course we understand that the key point is to get the profit. But second, it's a social impact. It's an
Mhm.
opportunity to become a part of the history. So it's really definitely an added value to contribute
Yes.
into Ukraine and start doing it now. Talking about the development of the frontline territories, of the temporarily occupied territories, we understand that the expertise is the key. And
Mhm.
we understand that these plans, which the cities, the municipalities, and local authorities are developing now for their territories with ready prepared projects, which will only need financial support. So the expertise is really needed. The understanding of how we can be using all of these opportunities which will come to us with after-war reconstruction programs and with EU accession programs, this knowledge is also and expertise really very much needed. That's what we were doing as Mariupol municipality, as Mariupol team, when we were developing our Mariupol Reborn project. So the revitalization of the city, rebuilding of the city project, working with architectural bureaus who created their urban visions. So understanding what fast and instant measures we should take so to make Mariupol possible to come back to live. So we understand how many technical appliances, how many schools,
Mhm.
hospitals we should issue at the very beginning, how many housing units we will need, how many people of each sphere of each sector we will need. So municipalities need this, and here it could become a solid partner again via the, for example, session of Ukrainian cities via our project, which is called Community Recovery Academy, to bring this expertise and to help us frame and set these construction, knowledge construction, action construction for Ukrainian municipalities to quickly rebuild, because we will have not much time. We have already to be prepared and to
Right.
put it in a good quality way, and to not to build as in the previous interviews. The mayor of Mykolaiv, so Mr. Sienkiewicz said, so to build forward, not to build back better, to really build forward for the future, to unfortunately transform this terrible crisis, which is called war in Ukraine, to transform it into long-term, great, sustainable, new opportunities for our country, which will give opportunities for all the world, all the civilized democracy world. So expertise, support, and and partnership. I think it would be really nice, like even to identify the partner city or the partner project for yourself, like the project why I'm always mentioning the Community Recovery Academy and Mariupol City team, not only because I'm the representative of this team and honored to be that, but also because you can see that Mariupol is acting now far beyond the bubble of Mariupol. So we are doing really big scale impact today in Ukraine, providing new projects, providing new pilots, new benchmarks, how to strategically get prepared for the revitalization, how to respond to the challenge of housing crisis, how to deal with the justice issues. So we are really piloting a lot of really great things and initiatives for Ukraine, because we want Ukraine to thrive. We want Ukraine to be a vibrant and great country. So that is why. So you can partnership with projects like us. You can partnership with each municipality, spot the one which with which you could cooperate further to see it again geographically, economically, and together to work out this plan. And again, as I have mentioned, so the local or regional authority. So it's association, like in this, if you talk about municipalities, association of Ukrainian cities, and the third pillar, it can be the consultative financial partner. Yeah.
No, well said. Well said. And I think that I like that how you describe that. Yes, Mariupol is acting far beyond its bubble, and Ukraine is testing and piloting and getting things right now, maybe making some mistakes, maybe learning from past experiences, but getting things right for full recovery. And I think it's important for international partners and investors to know that Ukrainians aren't sitting around waiting, that they are acting and they're doing, and they're waiting for the right partners to come along. And this is a great opportunity to work with some really smart and amazing people. And Olga, thank you so much for joining us. And, as a representative of the Mariupol City Council, one of the top performing local governments before the full scale invasion. And again, so representative of the quality of local governments across Ukraine. And thank you for the fantastic work that you're doing, you and your team and the mayor and everyone involved in this sector.
Thank you very much, Michael, for this conversation. I will give all these warmest regards to the team. They'll be really glad to hear that. And yes, your feedback is really valuable for us. And just to set and to send the last message to wrap up our really productive, and thank you for that opportunity, conversation, I would say that it's important to look at Ukraine now in the period of the greatest crisis ever. During the war, look at the resilience of Ukrainian people. This resilience is definitely the driver of Ukrainian reconstruction after the war, of Ukrainian accession into the European Union, into the European family, and it can be a really great driver for development of your business. So look at us during the most terrible times, and you will understand what opportunities this marvelous magic country of magic people, great people, can bring to your business in the future. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Дякую вам. We'll leave that
А,
there.
дякую.